Hi everyone, and welcome back to graphing trig functions. Again, we are just concentrating on the sine and the cosine curve, and we've gone through some of the basic shifts. We've seen changes to amplitudes and changes to the period, and then we've also shifted them up and down. And now we're going to kind of go backwards. So in the first video, we kind of just, here's the two basic functions. The second video, we shifted them and drew new graphs. Now here, these have been shifted, and we want to go and find the equation to this curve. So they are a little bit different. So I do go through two, but I'm going to go through them slowly so that you can see how it all works. So first of all, looking at this one, and knowing that it is a trig function, first of all, that would kind of be needed. Also, knowing that it has not been shifted left or right, that's to come. So this is a basic curve that has been either moved up and down, and all that's happened is changes in the amplitude and the period. So I'm going to start looking here, and it looks like it starts here, and we're going to just kind of outline one cycle. So I'm going to look at this one cycle, okay? So it starts on the top, goes down, and comes up. So far that tells me, starting at the top or at the bottom, but starting on one of the extremes and going up and down is a cosine curve. So that's the first thing I have to recognize, is this is a cosine curve and not a sine curve. Remembering the sine curve goes up, down, up, unless it's been flipped. Like this one, it starts at the top, and the regular cosine curve starts at the top, goes down, and goes up. In the last video, we saw a negative where it started at the bottom, so it had been flipped. So kind of be aware of those. But being able to recognize the cosine versus the sine function, that's what we want to make sure you can see. So there's my cosine piece. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find the amplitude. So remembering the amplitude is how far up are the heights or how far down are the troughs from that middle ground. So I'm going to kind of get another color in here, and I'm going to kind of put that middle ground in here, kind of put that middle in here, so we can kind of point that out. And we'll do this with a different color so we can kind of color code everything. Have a little bit of fun while we're doing math. Again, the amplitude is the heights or the lows. So this is going from a -1 to a negative, supposed to be a half. So that tells me I have a 1/2 out here. And it is positive because I did start at the top and go down. If I had started at the bottom and gone up, we would have had a negative cosine. All right, so we're going to do this y equals. And now we need to figure out if there's a change in our amplitude or in our period. So that's where I'm going to do the last piece. Now this period is 4 pi over 3. And it is the result of taking the original period, so this is a cosine, the original period is 2 pi, being divided by this whatever the k is in here. So putting a k. And I'm going to use x. We could use whatever variable we wanted, depending on what's labeled. It's not labeled, so I'm just going to use x. And now what we need to do is solve for k. So I'm going to cross multiply and then divide and simplify. So k is 3/2. So I will have 3/2 x. All right, the last thing you'll notice is we aren't centered around that 0, because usually it's like, say, start up at the top, go below the 0, then come back up. This one has been shifted down. And the way to figure out where it's shifted to, up or down, is to find that center line. My center line is at -1, so we've taken this curve and we moved it from 0 down 1. So minus the 1. So the equation of this curve is 1/2 cosine 3 over 2x all minus 1. Okay, let's do one more. Woohoo! All right, so here is another curve, and we'll do y equals. And again, we'll walk through it. So we're going to look at starting at this place and going through one cycle. So one cycle, down, up, and then we start repeating. So there's our one cycle, which is, since we're starting at 0 and going down and then up, or up and then down, it is a sine curve. I can't really see the sign there. I'll change it to purple. Sine curve. It's not a cosine curve, it's a sine curve. So kind of remembering that, seeing how this all works. Okay, notice we didn't go up first, we went down first. So that's going to come into play with our period, or I mean our amplitude. Our amplitude is the highs and the lows. So from the center, so here's our center, we haven't moved it from 0. So there will be no adding or subtracting something at the end. Our heights of our high points or our lows is a 2, so that gives me my amplitude. However, we went down first instead of up first, which so changed that direction, so we get a negative popping in there. All right, so we got a -2 sine of something. Our new period was 4. So we went through one cycle in 4. Setting that equal to 2 pi over some k, we're looking for the k because this is like a kx in here. Multiplying both sides by k, or cross multiplying if you think of that as over 1, dividing by 4, we get pi over 2. So we'll see this pi over 2x. So the equation to this curve is y equals -2 sine pi over 2x. And it was not shifted up or down, so that is our result. And this video is a little bit shorter, which is fine. In the next video, what we're going to do is we're going to start shifting them this way. So instead of starting at 0 or up here at the, on the x-axis, y-axis, and then moving forward, we're going to shift our starting point and see how that affects things. And also, we'll be having to relabel a few things from previous videos, but I don't think it'll be that big of a deal for you guys. So we will see you in the next video. Probably about 2 more videos to go. So hopefully they'll be short though.